Hello, my name is Dr. Emma Nagy. Welcome back. I am so excited you are here. Today we're going to be talking about how I'm going to share a personal story of how I went from having panic attacks, anxiety, not feeling like my full normal self 18 months into motherhood, after an incredible entry into motherhood, to returning back to my full power, truly feeling like myself again in a whole new, fuller, better way, and on my purpose and just like where I felt like I've always meant to be. And if you are someone who is also 18 months into motherhood, maybe even a few months into motherhood, or at some point there's just something that has happened that has jarred you. Maybe you've also experienced panic attacks. Maybe your anxiety has increased as well. And you're just not feeling like yourself and you just want to get back on track to feeling like yourself again, this episode is for you. And I'm so excited to share my story with you. And there is a reason I'm sharing my story with you. One, I think it's powerful for us to have examples of other women who have experienced something similar, or maybe something that we desire to have ourselves, and see it at play in reality. And so I want to be that piece of evidence for you to help you anchor into the fact that you can rewire your anxiety. This whole era of panic attacks is temporary. This whole time of not feeling like yourself is just a redirect, and we are going to gently redirect you back on to the trajectory that you want to be on, which is feeling like yourself, loving the incredible life that you have so consciously and thoughtfully built, and feeling like yourself as you do it, fully feeling like the fullest version of you in this current season. And yeah, I'm excited to share that with you. And also I want to share with you some of the practical steps that I took along the way. And listen, there are a million ways that you can rewire your anxiety, that you can support yourself to feel more ease, feel more gentleness, feel more present, feel just more like you in this time. And I'm going to list off a bunch. I have 8 written down. I'll probably list off some more. We'll go through each one quickly. But looking back from on the other side now, I can see that there were certain steps in a certain order that needed to happen, or that happened, that helped me. And so I want to share the steps with you, and you can see where you are, and hopefully some of them will inspire something in you. Maybe some of them you're already taking, and this can just anchor in as further evidence for you that you are on the right track. And maybe some of them will inspire something new, inspire something fun and a new direction for you to, just start to feel better. I want to take you back to my therapist's office in summer of 2020. Yeah, because that's when a lot of stuff went down, hey? And for me, I was a mom, loved motherhood, loved being in it with my son, loved seeing every stage evolve, and just like motherhood was like the greatest blessing that I've received in this life. And I've gotten to experience and do and achieve and just be part of a lot in this life, a lot of amazing stuff, a lot of challenges, but being a mother was just like the cherry on top. It's like the thing that takes the cake. It's like my favorite aspect of life. And so it actually really took me by surprise when 18 months into motherhood, it was the height of the pandemic, and my job was really stressful. I'd gone back to work, and that was a really tough transition for me because I loved being home with my baby, and just a lot of uncertainty. And I just remember I was listening to an audiobook, and something in it triggered something in me, and I had a panic attack. And I had not had a panic attack maybe ever, or I'm thinking, years before, when I was like 21. And it just really, really rocked me, to be honest. And what I found was I was just like not feeling fully like myself. I just felt like shaky in my body, I felt like I didn't have like the same level of control over my thoughts that I normally have, and I just felt this baseline of stress and anxiety, and I hated it. Like I just didn't feel like my normal happy self. And I was just like, whenever in the past, so I have my PhD in mental health promotion, I have an undergrad in psychology, like I really value my mental health, and there are times in the past where I've taken too much on, or certain life transitions have happened and my mental health has been rocked. So anytime that happens to me, I just surround myself with like a little army of supports. And I guess that's like tip number one that wasn't even on here yet, but surround yourself with like an army of supports. Just like like it can be a few, it can be like one or two really good ones, but just surround yourself with extra support. In this time, it's temporary. You're not going to need this extra support forever, but it'll just help you get where you want faster. And so whenever I had that panic attack the first time, and then I had a few more, and it just was very unnerving. I felt like out of control, like I could say or do, or like a thought could pop into my head that I could like, it felt so weird, it feels weird to say, but like blow up my life almost, of like everything I've created so carefully and so on purpose that I love. And so I was just like, okay, I need to get help with this and figure this out. So I went to my therapist, and she is amazing. So went to her and we were chatting, and she gave me some really good practical tips. If you're having a panic attack, these are like the steps you can take to get out of your mind back into your body, and just really like calm your body back down. And one of the things she said to me just like spoke to my soul, and she said, Emma, you can rewire your anxiety. You can rewire it. And I was like, what? And even though I held all these years of education and I knew this on like an educational level, something in it just spoke to me at that exact right time. And in that moment, I decided, I was like, yes, I want to rewire my anxiety. That is what I want to do. That's going to be what I do. Like, I want to rewire it. I don't want to have to live like this forever. And I just want this to be a temporary thing. And so that's what I did. So when I think back to the steps, there were some key things happening at that stage. The first one, which is the most important, you already have this because you are watching this video. Bring awareness to how you feel and the gap between how you feel and how you want to feel. Okay, so that is step number one. And within that step is step number two, very closely behind. Create a vision. Create a vision for how you want to feel. And this is a really fun step because you get to imagine, you get to daydream, you get to start to be aware that something else is possible for you to be your baseline and your normal. So just feel into, okay, how do I want to feel like when I wake up in the morning? How do I want to feel when I go like greet my baby or my toddler for the day? How do I want to feel in my relationship? How do I want to feel at work? How do I want to feel? What do I want my normal internal state to be? So those two things are going to help you so much because you're going to be aware of where you are and you're going to be aware of where you're going. And then it's just a matter of taking the steps to bring those things to life, okay? So those are the first two anchor points. Those are the things that I did in hindsight that really, really helped me. And then the third thing I did was open myself up to support, to a new way of thinking, feeling, and responding. And opening up to support was incredibly helpful because that first step of going to my therapist's office, like I didn't know she was going to say that and I was going to have this internal reaction, and in hindsight it's going to set me on this whole new amazing trajectory. But being open to and taking the action step to receive support with someone who I trust, or if you don't have a therapist you don't even, like, that's just one way. There are so many different things you can do to support your well-being. But you can even tell a lot from just like looking at someone's picture and bio on a website. Just like feel the energy, feel if like they feel like a safe person for you to go to. Set up a 15-minute consult with them, like whatever you need to do. But I already had an existing relationship with this therapist, and she's incredible. So she's just the one that I went to. What surprised me next was, in hindsight, like one of my favorite steps that I took, and one of my favorite steps that I continue to take and just integrate into my daily life. And it was simply to, once I was aware of how I was feeling, aware of how I wanted to feel, and had that vision, and was open to be guided towards that vision. A lot of it stemmed from my faith as well. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I was just simply opening to creating moments of joy in my day. And so what I did in that stage, I remember I was heading to a friend's wedding, and it was a COVID wedding. So it was like, and it was in the summer. So it was just starting to open up a little bit in terms of people being able to have weddings outside in like really small groups. So I'm one of her best friends. So I went to this wedding, and I remember on the way up, I listened to a podcast for fun. I was by myself in the car. I love listening to podcasts, and I was listening to one, and she's like an angel messenger, like an intuitive, and I remember I started getting all these intuitive messages. Actually, a message from my friend's grandmother on the car. This has nothing, well, it kind of has to do with the story, but I just find this stuff so fun. And I remember listening to this podcast, and I remember the podcast host, she's a Reiki angel messenger, and she was saying how she has a 21 course to raise your energetic vibration. And I was like, that sounds really cool. Never taken anything like that, but I've always been interested in intuition, spirituality, and I looked up the info about that course when I got home, and a few weeks later I ended up signing up, and I took this course. And it was incredible. Like the shift of me from day 1 to day 21 was incredible. I truly rose my like vibration up. I had met these incredible women in the program. We were like texting every day with like all the things we were learning and trying out. And it was truly just a matter of like following my joy, being open to learn something new. And in hindsight, I realized how powerful our minds and our energy are in terms of our mental health, in terms of how we're feeling, and in terms of our connection with God and with ourselves. And it was just a part of my well-being that I hadn't really thought that much about before, or hadn't really taken care of that much. And so taking that course was so fascinating, because I got to learn so many things about like the chakras, about my energy, and just simply about how to connect with my faith, with my relationship with God, with my relationship with like my true self, underneath all the fear, underneath all the anxiety. And it was just like a beautiful beginning to like a whole new journey for me. And my anxiety increased dramatically over those 21 days. And I have not had a panic attack since, which is incredible. So that was one of the other steps then. So following my joy, and it was just like listening to a podcast on a drive, and like who knows like where things can lead. So for you, think of what brings you joy. What do you love listening to? What do you love learning about? What's something you've always been fascinated to learn about? Maybe it was something like mindset or intuition, like me, spirituality, but you haven't really made space to learn about it. Like learn about something for fun. Like truly do something for you that is fun as a next step, because that's just going to lead to like more and more and more joy. Something else that happened in here that is that I found like my people, and I already have amazing people in my life. I have incredible husband, friends, family members, but I mean, in hindsight, I wasn't looking for community when I joined that course, but something just, there was an intro post, and it was like, okay, like share like where you're from or whatever, and like, if you guys want to have like a little group chat as you go through the course, go for it. And so I ended up just like, kind of like how I pick a therapist. I like go on people's profiles and I'm like, okay, like, do you got like that vibe that like pulls you in, that's like a match for you? So that's what I did. And I ended up meeting these incredible women, 3 women, and we would chat every single day. And they were like, I don't know, big sisters to me, because they like listened about like what I was going through, where I was, and they saw the potential in me and like where I could go next, like that the anxiety was temporary, that like I'm just like being guided towards something bigger, better for myself, and how I get to feel and how I get to live in my life. And it was just incredibly supportive to have them to like just really understand. And it was so fun because we were sharing all the things we were learning in the course together, and just our interests about everything, like the things we're passionate about in life. Like one's like amazing at design, and she was like talking about her design and like her business with that, and one of them is like incredible healer, and we were talking about her gifts with that. And it was just like such a beautiful community of support. So find your people if you don't have like your people yet. Like it just can be so supportive for you. And if you're like, I don't have a community, I want to welcome you into mine. Like I have a whole program, it's called My Lighter Motherhood, and there is a whole community of mums that are growing in there. And even just doing this episode with you, I was like, I want to do like a welcome post where you can share your name and find people in like the exact same stage as you, exact same values. And the whole purpose of My Lighter Motherhood is to feel like connected to you, your essence, and follow your own intuition in motherhood. Strengthen and hone in on your intuition and really take care of and elevate your energy, your mood, and just how you feel in each stage of motherhood, so you stack together all the moments and end up really enjoying the whole journey. So it kind of offers the steps to rewire anxiety, the steps to raise and protect and look after and kind of spiral up your energetic vibration. And it's also an incredibly supportive, growing community as well. And I'm in there as well for support if you take the VIP option, because there's like a self-led option where you can take all the steps for yourself. And there is also a guided version where you and I get to meet, and I get to sit down with you, hear where you are, and just support you to feel more present in and less anxious in and more excited about this chapter that you're in, and also where you're going next, and just have a really clear and good, exciting vision for you and your family at each step of the way. So that's what that is all about. But yeah, find your people, because having growth-oriented people around you can really help pull you up and out when it feels like a lot to do on your own, and it would feel more easeful to have people helping you, support you to do that, and be cheering you on, and be just believe in you, especially in the times where you might be so in it that it might be hard to know if it's really possible or know your next step. It's just so powerful. Something happens when you're like in community and all like building and growing together. All right, what I did next, so those things already had totally changed the game for me. And what they ended up doing and what happened throughout it, and just kept building and building and building, was I found myself again. But the really cool thing was, it's like I found like a truer, and the word I keep coming up with is fuller version of myself. Because what this whole experience taught me to do was really look at my life again, look at all the parts of my life, especially now that it changed so much after being a mom, and be like, okay, like in this season and in the season of where we're going next, what gets to stay and what gets to go? And anxiety running the show, making the decisions, changing how I experienced my day, and having to work so hard to get out of a state of anxiety every single day. that's what I had to learn to let go of in the season and learn how to rewire from a whole different way. What else had to let go? Where I thought I was going career-wise. I've been in research for over 15 years, 16 years now, 17 years maybe. I'm like math. Started when I was 21, I'm 37. And thought I would do that till I'm like 65 or maybe even like 55 and retire early. What ended up happening through this whole experience and this whole journey that I went on of personal discovery was I got to discover my gifts, my intuitive gifts, my true passion, which is teaching about manifestation, teaching about creating a vision and bringing that to life. And I, in many ways, was like my first student, like truly my first student, because I had to learn and figure this out for myself and allow in supports along the way that were gonna help me get to where I wanted to go. And in that journey, I started my lighter way. I started my podcast. From there, I was feeling so good within just a few months, like within that first 21 days of every day, in those 21 days doing 15-ish minutes to rewire my anxiety, to uplift my energy. That shifted so much. And through that process, I just started to listen to my own intuition a lot more and follow it and trust it bit by bit. And I remember journaling one day and I just wrote, "You will start a business called My Lighter Way." And I went on the internet right after that journaling session, found that My Lighter Way, the domain, did not exist, purchased it on the spot, and just kept following my joy and following my intuition. And it led me to actually record a whole course around raising your energy, your vibration, My Lighter Motherhood that I was telling you about earlier. And I was like, wow, I did not expect all of this to come from that low point, from that point that really rocked me and got me to look at, reevaluate, and choose the steps of my life again in this new season. And it was not easy, it was not always fun, but the work to support myself out of it often was really fun. Like, I think of therapy and stuff as kind of heavy but very valuable, and there was that, that did help me. But the part that I'm loved the most and I'm so passionate about is the energy piece, the mindset piece, all of the shifts and the ripple effect that came from that within myself. So yeah, it was just incredible. What you're going to find by following your joy, opening the book, listening to the podcast, catching up with that friend. You just never know where following your intuition is going to lead you. And just being open to, okay, how am I going to get to this vision that I have for my life, for my family, for my relationship, for my home. I know what I want, and I'm going to be open on the steps to get there. And I'm always going to have a clear next step to get there. And it could be something silly, like pressing play on this YouTube video today. It seems silly, seems small, but it can totally shift the trajectory of your life in the most incredible way. And you just never know. And that's part of the exciting part of following your joy. Sometimes it's just for joy. It's just for you. Sometimes it has a bigger impact and a bigger purpose, which is very exciting. One of the other steps that I want to share that in hindsight really, really helped me to feel a lot better was to not waver on my vision. So I'm going to use the example of relationships, okay? Relationships after baby can really change, especially they can change for the better, and they can change into just status quo or going on the back burner because your attention is going to your baby and learning all about that. And it's okay, got my relationship figured out. This stage is about focusing you know, pretty much on my baby. And then it's like, oh wait, got a relationship to take care of, got me to take care of. So it's part of this is about finding space for all of it. So it's like, okay, how do you want your relationship to look in your vision? And keeping that in your heart, like keeping that top of mind, that is where you're heading. If that is something that you're feeling has taken a back burner and needs more attention. It could be your mental health, it could be whatever it is. But for whatever reason, this is the example coming in. And I think it's because, I think I meant to tell you this, because so many people see examples of marriages falling apart, getting more disconnected, feeling just like roommates after baby, and then the narrative or story or paradigm out there around that meaning something bad about your relationship, that meaning it's a sign of the end, that meaning it's not going to work. And you probably have seen so many examples of like, and just stories that people perpetuate around things falling apart after a baby. And the stats show it, like divorce and separation increases after having babies. And so that paradigm exists, right? But it's not the only truth, okay? You can also anchor into the vision that you actually want and follow that. So that's where it's really, really good to hold the vision of what you want and then also have really good boundaries against what you don't want. So anytime you hear a story or a narrative that, you know, relationships ended after a baby, or that other people are starting to feel in some ways similar and then their marriage ended, that can be like very jarring, right? So instead of identifying with that and clinging on to that and joining them on their trajectory, it's so important to have really clear boundaries of what you actually want. Be like, okay, that's their reality. I want this for my relationship, so I'm gonna go in this path. That's a really, really helpful thing to be able to do. That kind of tip is also one that I always suggest for birth stories as well. Like have almost blinders on to the birth story that you want to have, and don't identify with the ones that you don't. Okay, so anyway, that is just another tip, because what this is going to help you do, whether it's your relationship, whether it's your anxiety, you know, you'll see also examples of other people who always will have anxiety. And I think that's where I was. Like, I really resonate with this. Like, I thought, oh, I have anxiety was at the identity level. I'm like, that's just how I am. And so when my therapist said you can rewire it, something about that disconnected anxiety from my identity. And I was like, wait, I don't have to carry this. I don't have to hold this. I just need to learn how to release it, and for it to not be my baseline, for it to not be my normal. And so it's just, yeah, so helpful to be like, okay, I could go this route, or I could go the route I actually want. And it's so valuable when you have your vision, you go the route that you actually want, because what's going to happen is your reality is going to start to mirror that, and you're going to start to see all this evidence of other people who it's happened to, where they have the career, the relationship, the motherhood, the balance of it all, the freedom within it. They feel good within it. They're happy within it. You're going to see examples of this, and it's like, that's possible for you as well. But we need the inner tools to hold it, to feel relaxed and regulated with it, and to enjoy it. And so that's just maybe like a little preview of like what's ahead. It's like there is so much goodness ahead, so much goodness. And all you need to do is take the next little step right in front of you. The next thing that just sparks in your heart is like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do next. And by doing that, stacking it time over time, you are just gonna feel better and better and better, and you'll be feeling like yourself, but like an even you. That's like the best way I know how to say it, as a result of that. of having your vision and moving towards it one teeny little step at a time. And I always say this because I think back to when my anxiety was really bad, and maybe you're feeling like this right now. Sometimes I feel like we feel like we're not strong in those moments, but there is a glimmer inside of you. There is a little spark. Maybe sometimes it feels like a big spark. Maybe some days, on the more stressful days, feels like a little spark, but it is always there, and it is always whispering, do this, you're okay, do this, it gets to be better, do this. And it's always there to help you, to guide you, to take you forward. And sometimes it's really as simple as just taking the one little next step. Sometimes it's as simple as, I just feel like I just want to go sit on my back step for a few seconds and just let the sun sit on my face, like shine on my face. Sometimes it's that, but just listen to what that next step is for you and do it. Don't overthink it, just do it. Before we wrap up, I want to invite you to My Lighter Motherhood if you feel called that is your next step, and I'll share a little bit about it. What it essentially is, it is the foundational skills that we can use as mums from pregnancy through postpartum and beyond to listen to, follow your own intuition, to do motherhood, life, your relationships, your lighter way, your unique personal way. And what it helps you do is it helps you feel present and more joyful and more ease in your life starting now as you do it. And this includes, like in My Lighter Motherhood, it includes all of the most relevant, potent, powerful steps and processes and mindset shifts and energy practices that I personally took, and now over the last 5 years has helped more and more mums do the same to uplift their energy, support their mindset and their inner world, their emotional well-being, regulate their nervous systems through motherhood so they can show up feeling connected to themselves. I want less mums to lose their connection with themselves, and it just has the best ripple effect. Like when you feel like when you are operating from more ease, when you're less in survival mode, it just feels better, and the challenges feel more doable, and the anxiety starts to rewire, and just the ripple effect I feel like that has on our babies, our relationships, like our careers, everything is incredibly powerful. So I will link that below. I would love to invite you in, and I want to leave you on one more thing, because in My Lighter Motherhood we start off with this one practice. We start off on anchoring into and deepening into presence in exactly where you are now. It could be in your pregnancy, if you're pregnant right now, it could be, with a toddler around, it could be postpartum, and it helps you anchor into, deepen into the present moment, feel less anxious in the present moment, soak in the present moment, even through the challenges, even through the anxiety, even through all of it, while we work on shifting that. But what it's going to help you do is going to help you feel deeply present with your babies through all of it, so that you look back when your kids have grown up. Now mine are 4 and almost 7 in 2 days. Just feeling so grateful that you were present for it. That's the best thing I did, I think, besides like help myself get out of it. When I felt anxious, I made space every single day to be deeply present with my babies, or with my first baby, because the second time I felt so different. And I think that's like what we all want. We all want to enjoy where we are, enjoy our lives, and just be present for it, and be present with our babies, and for them to feel our connection and our presence as well. And aren't they the best invitation? Aren't our babies the best invitation into being present and wanting to be more and more present? Because we just want to soak it all in while they're here. And that's why that's one of the foundational things we start off on in My Light of Motherhood. It's deepening into presence, no matter even what's going on in your typical baseline internal world, but we start to shift the energy, shift the vibration, and within 21 days, you will feel like an unrecognizable version of yourself from what you feel like you are today. In the sense, not that you're like going to be a better whatever person, you're already incredible, but what we're going to do is we're going to tease away all the noise and all the things that aren't really you, like the anxiety, like the thought spirals, maybe the panic attacks. And you're definitely welcome and encouraged if you're more in like a maybe crisis mode, or if your symptoms are more severe, to seek therapy alongside of it. This is definitely not therapy, but this energy shift, the mindset shifts, the nervous system practices that we do, that we integrate into your life as just a way of being, is going to be highly supportive to you now. You'll feel totally different and lighter within 21 days, and it's going to be foundational stuff that helps you forever. Like, I literally used this stuff this morning when the morning routine was like chaotic, and I'm like, am I going to get these kids in time for this, like to school in time for the school bell? Like, all of this stuff helps me like anchor back into being the calm, present, embodied role model and person that I want to be for my kids. So it's foundational, that'll help you forever. I will link it below. I hope this episode inspired you, sparked something in you. Send me a message at MyLightAway on Instagram with what you have taken away from this episode and what you're inspired to do next as a result. I would love to hear. Send me a text, voice note, love a voice note. And I will see you in the next episode. Okay, bye.